How you doing, everybody? And welcome again to the Coach Freddie Show, the most innovative place you can find on the internet to up your sports performance. Today we're talking with a new member of our panel, Coach Paul Reynolds, who's currently the AD of one of the largest high schools in Arizona. Anyway, Paul's got a master's degree in sports exercise science from the University of Oregon. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we can do with our children today in terms of getting them prepared for sports, avoiding injuries. But Paul's going to tell us some pretty exciting things that you'll want to find out about with your kids and stuff like that. So, and all of this is science-based. We'll post this on the web, articles, things where we can find this, and it's based on practical application as well. Paul and I each have 6 children. That's 12, so that's a football team with one reserve in case you know, the punter gets thrown out or something like that. But Paul's also got a great background. Pro baseball player, football player for the University of, not the university, but Arizona State University, middle linebacker, played in the Rose Bowl. So he knows exactly what he's talking about from experience as well. So one of the things I'm really interested in is Paul's take on exercising kids under 12. Why do I want to do anything with my kid under 12 besides play tag with them?
Well, I get this question quite a bit, and how I can make my kid faster. And so generally there's two time periods you have to look at, and what I've done is and again, that's what Coach Freddie was talking about, the research. We've looked into this quite a bit, but before the age 12, your nervous system is set. Before age 12, you have to develop that nervous system. After age 12, your nervous system's already set in, and you know, there's only 3 other ways you can increase speed through strength, flexibility, and mechanics. Before age 12, though, you can increase that stride frequency and work on the nervous system, developing the fast twitch muscle fibers. So there's some things we've done, exercises we use that before age 12 that help increase the stride frequency, how many times you contact the ground when you're running. The after age 12, again, our emphasis focuses or changes to stride. There's more emphasis on the stride length, meaning that we're going to again increase speed, or increase strength, flexibility, and mechanics. And those 3 things we place a huge emphasis on, and then that will help increase the heel-to-heel separation, and the stride length will increase, and your young man or woman will be faster.
Well, what about those parents that are really worried? In fact, you know, an article last year in Sports Illustrated saying that more kids are getting injured at a younger age. What are you going to do differently that doesn't injure the kid?
Well, the article that came out in Sports Illustrated, I happened to read it myself, talked about kids that are specializing way too early on in their career, meaning that they get thrown into, say, baseball, and that's all they do. Now, we've talked about this before, but in Russia, what they did, and they actually called it conjugate method, where it's what they did is they went out. This is way back in the 1960s when they were really successful in the Olympics. They took these young kids, or they went out in the playgrounds and looked for young athletes, good little kids, you know, 5, 6 years old, that were really moving well, and they'd take these young kids and put them in as many activities as possible, baseball, football, you know, anything they could think of, basketball. And what this did was to develop the neural pathways to make these athletes develop a little bit better, and train that nervous system. And then what happens though nowadays is there's so much emphasis in one sport that, yeah, there is overuse injuries and things that are getting used too much, and there are all kinds of little injuries are popping up because of that, because there's so much practice in one area. And
Well, right, and we've talked about this before. Why is, we understand that specializing in a sport, when would a kid actually want to go full-time into a sport? Answer that first, but first answer, why do you want your kids, before the age of 12, and you tell us the age, but why do you want your child doing a lot of different stuff? Because I thought when you told me this, I thought this was key.
Well, the biggest thing, again, going back in the Russian concept, the conjugate method, is, they'd put in as many sports as they could during that time before they're age 12, and actually before they're actually around age 16, during that time, to get them in many activities as possible, so they develop those neural pathways, different pathways that would develop the nervous system, and then after age 15 or 16 to start specializing in one sport and putting them in a sport that they thought they would be successful in. And we do the same thing in the weight room. We do the same thing, when our training age becomes a little higher, then we have to start mixing things up for our body, so our body won't adapt too quick. And with a young kid especially, how important it is to develop those neural pathways and get work that nervous system as much as you can through different sports.
Well, let me ask you this. At what age would you want a young man or young woman to start specializing? Because if they're too general and they haven't developed the skills, they've got to go. These coaches nowadays pressure athletes. You're an athletic director. You've seen it on all levels. Coaches are pressuring kids to do their sport, whether it's soccer, basketball, or whatever. They want them year-round in that one sport, exclusive to all else. When would you actually encourage a young man or young woman to go concentrate in one sport?
Well, I think it depends on the sport a little bit. I think it depends on your kid, but there's no way you can start specializing a young man or woman before they're 14 or 15 years old. Generally speaking, it's probably around 16 where they can start specializing in one area. And even that being said, throughout their entire life, they should have a little bit of a balance to, again, not get those overuse injuries. And we talk about that even in professional athletics, and to do other things to go out there and play their sports during that time. Now, obviously, there's going to be a specialization in one sport because that's the one you're geared towards, or that's your talent. But it never hurts to go out and to keep that variety going throughout your whole life.
Great. Well, we're going to stop right there because we've got a lot more to talk about. A lot more. We're going to show you actual exercises, different moves, things like that you can do with your child when they're very small to start, as Paul said, as Coach said, start to develop those neural pathways. And that's what's key, is you do as much as you can before age 12. You can find out more about this at AskCoachFreddie.com, and the number or the website's flashing up on the thing. So thank you today, Coach.
Thank you.
All right.